Let us now use the idea of relative motion to look at cases where an object is moving in a medium. For example, you have a river, okay, and the river is flowing, let's say, in this direction, and a boat is moving in this direction. Now there are two questions. When I say a boat is moving like this, is it moving like this as seen by a person on the ground or as seen by the water? Let's think about that because it's important. Okay, so many times what happens is we say relative to the water, the object is moving with this velocity. So this velocity itself is not the actual velocity as seen by the ground. Okay, actual doesn't make much sense because everything is relative. But what I mean is that it's not ground velocity of the boat. This is the velocity of the boat relative to water. This is velocity of the water relative to the ground. Is that idea clear? So what will happen if the water wasn't moving? The boat would have gone from here to there. But the water is also moving. So what will happen? Just imagine, just freeze the water. The boat moves from this point X to that point Y. And then from Y, what happens? The river basically takes you further down. Okay. So this would be velocity of the water. So this would be the actual motion of the boat with respect to the ground, which we will usually not write. We'll just say velocity of the boat. So velocity of the boat with respect to water plus velocity of the water gives you velocity of the boat with respect to the ground. This is with respect to the ground, this is with respect to the ground, whereas that velocity is with respect to the water. We already know this. We know that velocity of boat must be written as velocity of boat relative to water or the river plus velocity of the water. So we know this, we have already seen this. I'm just trying to tell you that generally when velocities are given, it is relative to water that is given. Okay, so the boat's velocity is usually specified with respect to the water. Why? Because the motor boat, the motor is pushing the water. If the water was a lake instead of a river, then of course as it pushes, it will move forward. But because this is also not a lake, it's a river, it's moving further, the motor boat's effectiveness is not going to change. It is going to do whatever it was trying to do earlier, but it is going to do it relative to the water. And then in addition, the water will take you further out. So that is the idea. This is also true with aeroplanes. So for example, let us say that wind was blowing like this. If an aeroplane is trying to go like this, so let us imagine that there is an aeroplane, which is, let me draw an aeroplane here. Okay. Now this aeroplane is trying to go like this. That is, if there was no wind, this is where it would have gone. We call this direction the bearing. Okay, this is the direction in which it's trying to go. I bear in this direction. The word bearing means that you are trying to go in this direction. Does it mean you will actually go in that direction? No, because the aeroplane would have gone here. So if there was no wind, the aeroplane would have basically landed up there. Okay, this is where the aeroplane would have reached. But because there is a wind like this, the whole thing would have shifted and finally the aeroplane would move in that direction. This is the velocity of the airplane as seen by the ground. So this is where it will finally land up. So it's not going to land up there, it's going to land up here. But this is the velocity with which it was trying to move. So this is the bearing direction. So the word bearing is often used. So this is the direction at which it was trying to go. So when you say an aeroplane is bearing towards north, let us say northeast. Okay, so 45 degrees north of east or 45 degrees east of north. What does that mean? It is trying to go northeast. Does it actually go northeast? No, because it's trying to go basically means it is relative to air. Then there is wind speed. So the velocity of the airplane relative to air plus speed of the wind or velocity of the wind is going to give me the velocity of the aeroplane relative to the ground. So I hope the idea is clear. So usually you will get velocity of the object relative to medium. This is what is given. Plus velocity of the medium. This will give you velocity of the object relative to the ground. Okay. Now this medium velocity is also given relative to ground. So, but usually we don't specify with respect to ground because that is automatically assumed. Okay, but this is the key idea that we have to keep in mind when we are transforming. Same thing happens with acceleration, but we won't use it as much. We will use velocity transformation from the medium very often. I want you to keep in mind certain words like bearing. Okay, so if somebody says an aeroplane is bearing, a ship is bearing, so what does it mean? That is the direction it is trying to move. The bearing is telling you what direction you are trying to go. So for example, if a ship is bearing like that, what does it mean? The ship's direction, the way it is arranged, is such that it will take you there. The motor is on this side pushing the water, that is the front of the ship. So that is the direction it's trying to go. But in addition, because there is a flow of water, it may finally move in that direction. But it's the body of the ship is arranged such that it should go like that. In reality, it will go like this. Okay, but that is not in the ship's control, but that depends on the fact that the water is taking you away. What direction are you trying to go? That is the bearing direction. So I hope that is first clear. Okay. Second, most velocities that are given, for example, of ships or aeroplanes and so on, are always with respect to the medium, because that's what is usually easy. That's what is defined. Because suddenly the wind becomes faster. Now the aeroplane's engines are working the same way. So they are working with respect to the air, right? The air is moved is not our responsibility. Like when I'm walking or running, I'm not looking at whether the earth is moving. The earth may be moving, but I am actually pushing the floor and then I'm running in one direction. So that is what is my responsibility, or that is what is in my control. The fact that the whole earth is moving is not in my control. The same way, this boat is trying to move relative to the water. The fact that the water itself is moving is an additional extra factor that will come in. Of course, you can plan for it. So if you don't want to go like, if you want to, let's say, go like this, you will go like that so that you will end up going like this. That is calculation. But the main point is your boat is trying to go like this, the water is taking you further down. So there are two ways to solve this kind of a problem. One is to use a formula like this. The second is to say, forget about the water, let me do without water or without medium movement. So first do the calculation as if the medium is not moving. So you say, okay, let us see what is this fellow going to do if there was no wind. And then you say, oh, because there is wind, there is also further movement of so much. Without the water, this is where this guy would have come, plus water is going to take you there. So you can do it in two steps, like without, plus, now the movement has already happened. So now because of medium, what is the extra movement? Now you basically keep the object at rest. So you say the ship moved from A to B in 5 seconds. During this 5 seconds, let's forget about the water movement. Then you say, okay, now let's freeze the whole thing. The water would have taken the ship further because of those 5 seconds. The water would have itself moved, right? So you make that extra movement. This is the extra movement. During the same 5 seconds, how much has the ship moved? So you combine these two together, you will get your answer. But if you are looking at relative velocity, this is how we will calculate. You can use this, you can use that. Both are the same principle. So I hope this idea is clear. Now there's one more small point, because many of these questions will involve north, south, east, west. So whenever a question refers to north or east or west, draw this compass. And if the question says 30 degrees north of east, what does that mean? Start with the east direction. It says 30 degrees north of east, which means your primary direction is east. It's 30 degrees north of east. So what is your first direction? East. And then you are not moving really to east, you are moving 30 degrees to east. But 30 degrees to east can be this way, 30 degrees to east can be that way. This is saying no, it is 30 degrees north of east. So that means you have to go north like that, 30 degrees. So 30 degrees is this 30 degrees, and this would be 30 degrees north of east. Okay? If I had told you 30 degrees north of west, this is west, 30 degrees north of west would be that direction. Okay. But if I had told you 30 degrees east of north, what is my primary direction? North. But I am now going 30 degrees east of north. So which means I could have gone 30 degrees like this, that would have been west of north, this would have been 30 degrees east of north. So you're going like this. So this is the direction you're going, right? And this angle is 30 degrees. So questions will tell you 30 degrees, 25 degrees, 40 degrees, east of north, north of east, etc. Whatever you are saying of east, this is a qualifier. Okay. So suppose I say this was a very big. Now very big is a qualifier. Very big what? Okay. So if I say this was a very big move, very big is qualifying the movement. Right? Or a very big move means basically that move was being qualified. Right? So what are you qualifying? This is the qualifier. 30 degrees north is qualifying. Qualifying what? East. Okay. This is 30 degrees east, qualifying north. So north is my primary direction, 30 degrees east of north, 30 degrees north of east. Okay. So that is very important to understand. So whenever you read the question, please try to understand what is the direction, always draw the compass, get the direction, then start working. Sometimes, and many times of course they will tell you the wind direction is 30 degrees east of north. But sometimes they will say wind is coming from 30 degrees east of north. Is there a difference? Yes, a huge difference. Because if wind direction is 30 degrees east of north, this is the wind direction. If wind is coming from 30 degrees east of north, that means it's coming from there, it is the opposite direction. Okay, this means it's coming from 30 degrees east of north. This is the direction where it is going. So there's a huge difference. One is opposite of the other. So when we solve problems, you will get to understand how to use this much more. I hope the basic idea, the principles are clear. Now the best way to learn this is to apply it. So what we are going to do is to look at a few solved examples where you can first try it and then you start to apply the same idea in that problem. Let us now imagine this case where I have a boat that is going in this direction. So I have this boat that is going in this direction with a velocity of, let us say, 20 meters per second, making an angle with the line that basically is perpendicular to the flow of the river. So the river is flowing like this. Let us say the river speed is 5 meters per second. Okay. And let's say that this fellow is making an angle of some 37 degrees. Okay. So this is the velocity of the boat. But is this the velocity of the boat or is this the velocity of the boat with respect to the water? So that is the question. So if this says velocity of the boat in water, that means relative to water. So this is relative to water. So what is the velocity of the boat relative to water? 20 meters per second at an angle of 37 degrees, says the water. But we want to talk about the ground, right? So we want to know what is the velocity of the boat relative to the ground. So let us first use I and j components. So I cap and j cap direction. So if I look at this 20 cos 37, 20 cos 37 is how much? 4 by 5 is the j cap direction. And 20 cos 37, so this direction will be 20 sin 37, but this way, I cap is that way. So minus 20 sin 37 I cap plus 20 into 4 by 5 j cap. This is the velocity of the boat relative to water. Okay. So if I calculate this is 4 into 3, 12, minus 12 I cap plus 4 into 4, 16 j cap meters per second. But the boat is actually going to be pulled by the water, right? The stream. So now if this boat is moving like this, it has a big velocity. So it's going to go there, let's say that is 20. 5 is going to pull you like this. So this is going to be your final direction, actual direction. So if I look at that and I can say what is the velocity of the boat without any qualification. I'm not saying relative to, what does that mean? Relative to the shore, somebody on the ground. So what is the velocity of the boat? It will be the velocity of the boat relative to water plus velocity of the water. What is velocity of water? 5 I cap. Okay, so if I add to this 5 I cap, I'm going to get minus 12 I cap plus 5 I cap plus 16 j cap, and so this is minus, how much is this? 7 I cap plus 16 j cap. So this is the actual velocity of the boat. Where will we use this? Later we will study how to do this, use this to calculate distances. But if this is the actual motion of the boat, let us say that this thing was 64 meters across. Okay, this entire thing was 64 meters across. The boat is starting here and wants to go across. If it's trying to go at 20 meters per second, how long will it take to go across? It is not determined by this 20. It is determined only by the component of the velocity that is going across. Only that matters. But if you look at the velocity here, it is telling you minus 7 I cap, which is this way, plus 16 j cap. What is going to help you go across? The 16 j cap. Correct? Perpendicular velocities do not matter. So I cap is not going to make you go across. So 16 j cap, how much do you need? 64. How many seconds? 4 seconds. So it is going to take a time of 64 meters by 16 meters per second. So it's going to take 4 seconds. So if it's going to travel for 4 seconds, how much? So basically by the time it finishes, it is going to finish here. So how much would it have moved upstream from the exact point opposite? How much would it have moved upstream? Well, how much time was it traveling for? It was traveling for 4 seconds. So 4 into 16 is 64, which is that way. But 7 into 4 is 28. So the displacement of the boat is minus 28 I cap plus 64 j cap. This basically takes me across. So this way I have moved minus 28 I cap. So this is 64 j cap. So how much has it gone from the opposite bank, the point on the opposite bank? How much has it moved? The boat has moved down or moved upstream of 28 meters. So the boat would have gone 28 meters upstream. If there was no water, then what we should have taken is only minus 12i. So if this is 64, this would have been into 4, 48. So it would have gone 48 meters is what it should have gone. But because in those 4 seconds the river would take you 4 into 5, 20 down. Does that make sense? You should have gone 48, that's where this would have landed. But because the river would have taken you down 20, so 48 minus 20 is 28. I hope the idea is clear. Okay, so this is one way in which we solve problems. So don't worry too much about this displacement and this time calculation. What I want you to focus on is whether we can calculate the actual velocity of the boat relative to the ground, because most questions will give you velocity of the boat relative to the water. You want to calculate velocity of the boat relative to the ground. So how will you do that? By taking this and then adding to it the velocity of the medium. So that's the basic principle that I want you to keep in mind. Let us do a few questions, because once we solve a few more questions, you will get an idea of how to apply this in different situations. When the velocity is given with an angle, always convert it into I cap, j cap, because then the addition becomes very easy. Okay, so that is a key idea for solving all of these problems. Keep in mind that if the question says east, north, west, etc., you must always draw a compass so that you don't make a mistake, and then look for directions on this. So once you do all of these, I think then the questions will become quite easy. So the best way to learn it is to apply it yourself. So try some of these questions out and then look at the video solution.